All right, I'll get started. We're going to welcome everyone today to Public Health's Native American Heritage Month Education Series. I am Jamie Decora, the CHR Supervisor for Public Health, and we are joined with Myrtle McKernan, the Public Health Nurse, and Timothy Gamble, our Community Outreach Specialist. We are gathered here today to celebrate the past, present, and future of the Ho-Chunk Nation and all of our Indigenous relatives. Public health focuses on prevention, promotion, and protection of the health and well-being of our communities. The mission of the Ho-Chunk Nation Department of Health is building a strong mind, body, and spirit together. A key step in this is to provide our community with education. Unfortunately, due to family emergency, we are not joined today by Gloria Tech. We thank Schay Anderson for stepping in, and we are also joined by one of our clan mothers, Myrtle Long. Our topic today is going to be traditional Native American prenatal practices. We will start by hearing the traditional elder side of it from Myrtle Long, and then Schay will jump in and talk about how she's changed it with her generation and adapted our traditional practices that worked for her. Our agenda today will be presenter introductions, discussion on our topic, and we will leave the end for any questions. Anybody online that has any questions or comments, please put it in the chat or wait until our presenters are done speaking, and we will leave time at the end. We'll start with Myrtle then.
I can speak now? Yes. Good afternoon. My English name is Myrtle Thunder Long. My Ho-Chunk name is Hungiwi. I'm a very proud member of the Thunder Clan of the Ho-Chunk Nation. And want to thank you for inviting me here today to share some of the teachings that I grew up with. Was very fortunate to grow up with my elders that taught me so that I could pass them on to future generations. And this particular topic is very important to our families, our Ho-Chunk families, especially the younger generation. And I can go back a ways, but I'm limited on the time. So I'm just gonna begin when in the earlier days of our Ho-Chunk people, in most cases, marriage was arranged by the parents of the young people. And the young people rarely refused to abide by the decisions due to not so much obedience as to the wise precautions taken by the parents in a meeting with their children. Because, as I said, I'm upper clan, and I was taught that someday when I have a mate, they're to be from the lower clan, the earth, clans of the earth, because I'm upper clan. Thereby, the children that they become will be healthy, physically, mentally, spiritually. And this is how we were taught. And so when I met my future husband, he was a student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I was a student up in University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. And it just worked out that way. We thank Creator God for this, that he was a member of the lower clan, the Earth clan, the Buffalo clan. So my parents, especially my father, approved of our union. So that made us feel good. And but if some, for reason, some of our young people would absolutely refuse to do the parents' choice, it was the parents usually yielded depending on the young person. At that time, in earlier years, there was no specific ceremony of marriage in former times. And as soon as the customary presents were exchanged, the man came to the woman's lodge, and presents were exchanged, and of whatever material gifts that him and his family thought was good, they brought it. Even horses, whatever was worthy of this young lady was brought to the woman's lodge, and the marriage was consummated after that. And the young man generally lived with his parents-in-law during the first 2 years of their union. And after that time, during that time, he was practically like a servant to the family. And as regard to hunting, fishing, performing services in every aspect, especially during ceremonies. But after 2 years with his wife, he returned to his father's lodge. And this is the time the new wife became the worker or the servant to her parents-in-law. And if she was lazy, she would be disliked immediately. And if she was a good worker and a good cook, she was looked by all her husband's family as a very good lady. And they lived with his parents as long as he wished. Then they left when he decided that they should live alone. And this is where when the parents were going to become, the father and mother were going to become parents of a young spirit that's on the way. And during this pregnancy, the Ho-Chunk woman is restricted to observe a lot of rules that were set. In fact, I experienced some of these rules too. And they told me, not only my elders, but also my husband's elders, we're not allowed to roam the woods alone for fear of meeting snakes or other animals, of which were believed to be of ill luck, bad luck. But for me to walk and keep busy, and not permitted to be sleeping during the day, that was a big no-no. And even my father's sisters impressed that on me, and I was told to take a bath every morning, be clean, and when the time came for baby to be born, it was improper, very in Ho-Chunk, there's a word for it, improper to cry out when you're having labor pains. By doing so, she's subjected to just of elder female relatives making fun of her, or making fun of me. So that was taught to me as I grew in my labor. And a cradle board is always made for the birth of a child. And the husband was and his helpers could make this depending on what clan that he came from. And so these are really upheld. In fact, after I was married, I got to even see the cradle board that my father had. That's how they were really revered by the family. And then after the child came, in my case, it was my son. The navel string of the child upon delivery was cut off and sewed into a small bag attached to the cradle board, and later taken to a special place, and prayers were offered for the child's future. And there's very expensive ceremony that comes at that time. And I remember when I went when my son was taken to that place. It was on a mound between Rushholt and Alderaan. That's where we went. But anyway, on the birth of a child, the sisters of his father showed his wife special thanks of courtesy, gratefulness for extending their clan. And that's how it is today, even with my own experience with my family. I had 4 sisters and 3 brothers. And there's, we treated our brothers with honor, respect. In fact, we were told as when we were very young, you don't do, say, or even think anything that's going to embarrass your brothers. So this is how it is even today, because I have 2 brothers still living, and I thank them for helping me in my lifetime. And when this, like I was saying, his father's female relatives, they honored and gave special courtesy to the mother for extending their clan, and that's how I was with my sisters. With my brothers, my one brother has 5 children. My younger brother had 3 children, and my youngest brother has 3 children. So they extended our clan, and now we have more. So we honor. I think, in fact, tomorrow is my eldest sister-in-law, Beverly Thunder. It's her birthday, and we're going to be honoring her. She gave birth, and she extended our family and our clan, where they have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So this is how it is for us even today. And then she can, whatever gifts that we feel is something we made, or It's really something you can't buy in a store, to honor her. But it's up to her if she wants to share those gifts with her family, her relatives. So this is how it is for us today. And so the presentation of these gifts to her is called Ning Junk Hodunk. That means cradling that infant with these gifts of gratefulness to her and to the Great Spirit. And sometime after the birth of my son, especially if it's a boy, child is a boy, the father gives a feast of Thanksgiving to Mauna, the earth maker. And all those in his clan are more than willing to help with this feast of thankfulness for the spirit that's living with us today. So this is a little part of what I grew up with. So I'm just sharing that with you today. And I really appreciate when I go in a Ho Chunk home and I see a cradle board, really touches my heart because I know what that's all about. And like I say, then if the navel string that's attached in that little bag on the cradle board, and when the little one grows up, and maybe another one will come along, but that's taken, and they put it. For instance, my father's family took my brother, my oldest brother, his navel, took it over there by the Mississippi River. He's a good hunter in either the water or on land. That's why they put that there and prayed when they put that there. So that's how it is. And then I have another niece that they done this for, and they put her navel on the campus of University of Wisconsin up in Eau Claire. Sure enough, she turned out to get her bachelor's degree, her master's degree. So this is what we pray about as Ho Chunks for our future. So just an example. So as I see that it's good to do this, it pays because it's towards the Great Spirit. So I just wanted to share this much. Like I say, there's a lot more that I could say before or even after, but I just want to come this far and see if there's any questions or comments.
I have a question. So you mentioned your parents or the parents setting up these unions. Was your marriage, was that the case for you? Was your union set up from your parents?
I could hear her.
Was your marriage set up? Were you and Lance set up? Was your marriage arranged?
It was,
Yeah,
it wasn't set up.
not Lance, Doug. I'm sorry.
My husband and I, it wasn't set up, but it was approved by my father and his family because it follows the same same, you may say, rules that we were taught before. Because my husband was from the lower clan, the Buffalo clan, and I'm from the Thunder clan, the upper clan. So it follows those teachings. And we were married for 48 years and 8 months. So thank the Creator for that time.
Cool.
I have a question.
Pardon?
I have a question.
Sure.
What Timothy was kind of bringing up before about the, like not buying baby clothes beforehand
Oh, yeah.
or having the baby showers and all that stuff. Do you know why that is? Because like with my own grandchildren, we didn't do that. Like we didn't purchase clothes beforehand and
Yeah.
all of that stuff, and didn't have baby showers until after.
Yeah.
So, and my daughter would ask me why that was, and I said I didn't know, but we just don't do it.
Yeah, this is one amendment or whatever you're going to call it that we were taught that, like when I was pregnant with my son, when I first got pregnant, I told my parents, of course they were happy, but then they told me, my father's sisters especially told me that we don't make something for the baby to wear or buy something for him to wear or whatever till after his spirit is here. Till we see his spirit in the flesh. Then you can put whatever you want on him. And, but before, in Ho Chunks, they told us that before he was born and you did all this, and if the Great Spirit decided that he wasn't going to be a flesh today, he's going to go back before he was born. So that's not for us to decide. That's what they told us. So it's easy, to buy things for. Anyway. So this is why we told our families that we can't do this till after the baby comes. And in fact, he was supposed to be born on May 26th. And here I got pains, but nothing happened. So he didn't come till June. So it's just going to show that if we had already bought all that stuff and he wasn't going to be here, So told us that it's better to do like we were. And they in Ho Chunk, they say you're trying to get Wajang Buddha to do something sooner than what he's going to do, and try to tell him what to do. That's how it told us in Ho Chunk. So we waited. So that's how we tell my nieces. I have twin nieces. One of them has 3 boys and the other one has 4 girls. But this is teaching that we passed on to them too. And they're all healthy. So when our elders tell us, there's some reason why they're saying that to us. So I wish that, and I see even this day and age, I see where arranging a marriage would be good because I see some close relatives that are that are married. And as far as Ho-Chunk, that's a no-no. Because, like they told us, otherwise your children might not be healthy physically, mentally, spiritually. I kind of see that too. But I don't say anything because it's a different family, a different plan. But I can just pass it on to my own. So there's truth why they say those things to us. Is there any more comments,
Have you ever
questions?
have you ever heard of the tradition of
On
giving
what?
I don't know if it's a tradition, but they give $1 to the baby when it's
To
born.
give a what?
$1.
Give money to the baby after they're born.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, he's asking about that.
Yeah, you know why?
to give the baby $1?
Yeah.
Money.
Oh, it's just that
Or
money.
just money? No, I've never heard of that tradition.
And then when you pick somebody's baby up, like if you hold it, then you have to pay them.
Instead of, yeah, you could do that instead of material gift or something. You could do that instead, yeah. In place of that, like one of my granddaughters had a little one, and I heard about it, but I couldn't go with her to see it. And
Yeah.
anyway, we were together at a ceremony, and here, and she came almost at the end of the ceremony they were doing, and she came up. I didn't even see her right away. She came up behind me. Here she had that little one. It was only almost 2 weeks old. And she said, "Oh, Gaga, here's my son." Oh man, I was real surprised. And so, they tell us that you present it to you, carry him or her, and then you thank God, thank the Creator, and then give some kind of a gift. So that's when I give some money to him through his mother to acknowledge what the Creator has given us. So that's what I do when I see someone for the first time. They might even be a year old or more, but if I see them for the first time, I acknowledge that.
Somebody just told me. I saw somebody at Walmart, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, hold my baby," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You're not supposed to pay them." I was like, "What?"
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's like she said, giving a gift, or they give money if they don't have a gift to give.
Yeah. But it takes that.
Was there?
Was there any more questions for Myrtle?
Someone texted, how was a newborn introduced to the family or community?
Pardon?
How was a newborn introduced to the family or to the community?
In terms of family, what?
Introduced?
How is a newborn?
Yeah.
How is a newborn introduced to the family or the community?
So it depends. It depends. For us, upper clan, it depends on also it could be like in a dance arena. It could be in a ceremony, sacred ceremony. In whichever way that we're for us to, a lot of them are like, okay, there's one teaching that goes with it too. When they're old enough, it's like my grandson, old enough to walk on their own without assistance, with helping, you can walk by themselves. They're old enough, it could be a year old or maybe less, or maybe later. They're able to walk by themselves. And that's when you have ceremony. And you have the sacrifice to Great Spirit and have an elder to give a whole chunk name to the little one. And it's very, very important, because why he sent him down here to do a job, to do a task while he's here. When he's done with that, then he's going to call him back. When he's going to call him back, that's when he needs that whole chunk spiritual name. And that's one way that we have of introducing him to his family, relatives, the village, whatever it is. But then, if he didn't have a whole chunk spiritual name, what's going to happen to his spirit? It's going to be your problem. Yeah. So that's very important to us. So that's what it was with my grandson. He was almost a year old. We had a ceremony, and his grandfather, my husband, did the ceremony, gave him his woodchuck name. So that when the time comes when the one that made us is going to call, he won't have no problem. Go back to where it came from.
Thank you.
I think that's it for questions for Myrtle. Myrtle, I thank you for joining us today, and I hope you sit in and finish. We will hear from Schay now, and this is just going to be the younger generation viewpoint on where she learned her traditions from and how she adapted them to work with this generation.
Hello, everybody. I am Schay Anderson. I'm from Wittenberg. My mother is Jamie Funmaker. My dad is John Anderson, and my Ho-Chunk affiliation comes from my mother's side. Her parents were George Ann Whitewing, and she married Lorenzo Funmaker. And that was my kaka and choka. My Ho-Chunk name is Waka Jahungi, which translates to Thunder Queen. And I actually have 2 children. I just had my second child 2 months ago, which is crazy. So it's been a very beautiful process. Very fortunate. A lot of the things that Myrtle had covered are things that I'm familiar with in my teachings of becoming a mother and what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do when being with child, and bringing them into the world. The one big thing that I suppose I can resonate with is the gifting of things before my children got here. That was something that we did not do because, she mentioned, their, whether or not they were going to be chosen to be here or not to be here. Unfortunately, I was not set up into that union by my folks. Thanks, folks, for that. But I was fortunate enough to carry my children full term. I have a boy and I have a girl. And a lot of the stuff just it's pretty cut and dry, you know. We didn't do. I wasn't so much like restricted to things being pregnant because I think it was just a lack of having that knowledge, I suppose. Or just not being told that I can and can't do these certain things, but like I said, it's pretty cut and dry. I just didn't do those things because mostly common sense and respect for my own body and excuse me, the child that I was carrying. They're both breastfed babies, which I'm very fortunate to still be doing with my newborn. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me and ask those questions. Otherwise, that, you know, I don't have much else to share. You know, it's not much has changed really, is what I mean to say. So I just have it, like I said, it's pretty cut and dry. It's either this or that, you know, you either do it or you don't do it. So yeah. With that being said, some things haven't changed. But it would be something that you would have to compare or ask me in order to tell you. You know what I mean? So does anybody have any questions on how I did things differently now for this generation versus Myrtle and her generation?
I have a question. So since you didn't do a baby shower, did you do any prep for baby beforehand, like purchasing anything and keeping it like in a different home I've heard of before?
No, that's a good question. That's what I meant. That's awesome. Thank you. We didn't do any sort of preparations like that because of those teachings, whether or not that spirit was going to be here in the flesh or taken home. I wouldn't really call it a baby shower. Because I had a party, not even a party. I had my ceremonies for my children. Actually, at the same time when my second baby was born, and I had them given their Ho-Chunk names, and then that's where I introduced them like that to my friends and family in a way that I knew how to do it. So no, we didn't buy anything. Nope, I didn't have anything until that night she was born from my mom, which was kind of stressful, but it worked out. Is there any other questions? That was a good question. Thank you.
Did you find out the gender of your children?
I did with the first one, but not because I wanted to. I found out because the tech had actually spoiled the news. I did mention to her that I didn't want to know due to my teachings and everything, and I think it was just something that slipped her mind. And she mentioned that I was having a boy, and then I was like, oh well, I did tell you I didn't want to know, but thank you. And then with my second child, I didn't find out. And I made it very, very clear throughout the entire appointment when I was being checked for that I didn't want to know.
Yeah, 'cause that's something that I ended up doing with the twins, and just breaking that tradition of not knowing. But we had 3 miscarriages leading up to the twins, and that unknownness of what their genders are, what they possibly could have been, since we had gone through it for 3 times already. That's why I chose to just kind of break that tradition and finding out the gender of the twins.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
You got a
That's-
question, Kim?
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot it. But I was just wondering, because my daughter had this issue too, people wanting to like gift you things beforehand. Especially because so my daughter just had another baby July 19th, and it's a little girl. Her father is not native, and so the family was getting really upset because they kept wanting to like gift things, and my daughter was like, if you get something that's on you, just keep it at your house. But did you have any of those issues or people like wanting to gift you things, and then how did you deal with that if that was the case? Did my question make sense? That's for you, Schay.
Oh, okay. I was very grounded on that topic. My children's father is also not Ho-Chunk or Native, and his family did ask. They were nice enough to ask beforehand because of my heritage. How we did things and how we didn't do things. They were courteous, and they asked, "Can we get stuff?" And I said, "I would prefer that you didn't. And if you did, kind of keep it to yourself. I would like for you to hold on to it, and then if you want to give it to us after, you are more than welcome to." So I was pretty lucky. They were nice enough to ask about that, and not everybody is that fortunate, because sometimes you run into a situation where people just kind of do whatever they want because that's just how they are. And I was thankful that they were respectful of what I wanted. Good question. Thank you, Kimberly. Was that something that you did, Jamie?
We did. So we did have a baby shower, and we did follow Ryan's traditions of his family because he's not Ho-Chunk or Native. I didn't open up any of the gifts. I didn't even allow the gifts to be brought in the building. They went home then with his mother and stayed in the garage, until the twins arrived. So we still had nothing prepped, nothing ready. It sort of worked out. The twins were in the NICU for 6 weeks, after they were born. So we had that time to kind of prep our home and get all the gifts that people had prepped and bought for them previously and bring them home and set things up for them.
Because they were in the NICU for as long as they were, how did you introduce them to your friends and family, to your family?
We actually didn't until they were a year old, just more so out of fear. We did a name giving and a baptismal ceremony for them, devotions for them on their first birthday. So we just shied away from taking them out in public and kind of just having them just be at home, just for that fear of them being premature and more likely to get sick, that we waited a full year before actually introducing them.
Now, then I have a question for Myrtle. How does that differ from when you brought your children home?
Do I understand
That what they just explained. Do you want to ask your question again, Jay?
So with how we did our introductions for our children, how is that different from when you brought your children home?
I wouldn't say it was different.
Or what did you do?
Yeah, we had well, I only had one child, my son. Okay. So when he was gonna come home, his father and his father's brothers, there's two of them, they got our home ready, and they had got everything ready for our little ceremony for him to come in. And then my husband's oldest brother, the one that brought him into the home, carried him into the home. So he said the prayer of thanksgiving that could have another, in this case, the buffalo, another buffalo to the herd, in Ho-Chunk. So it's, now he's got a buffalo too. But anyway, that's what they did at that time when we brought him home. And I didn't carry him in. It was my husband's oldest brother that did that at that time. And to me, that was really impressive how they were so grateful for us. Spirit, a new spirit's going to come into the home. So my two brothers-in-law, my husband's brothers, they're older than my husband, but they never called my son by his name, by his English name. They called him by how they related to him all the time. Never called him by his English name. And then when he got his spiritual name, and they called him by that, but ever since that time. So that was kind of honorable for them as older fathers in Ho-Chunk that they for them to be that way and feel that way towards my son. It's kind of some funny stories that they have, that how they got along with my son as a baby. They even changed his diaper and all that. And, but that's how it was at that time. He was born in June, so it was really nice out. And then later on, that's when we had his naming ceremony and all this that followed. That's how it was for us anyway, and for the Buffalo clan.
That's great. Thank you for asking or for answering the question. I guess I have another thing that I could touch base on with me being Ho-Chunk and my partner not being Ho-Chunk or anything like that. They are really, really great about asking questions and learning, and I do my best to teach, but I know some of it isn't perfect, but it's what I know and it's what I was taught. And I try to teach them, the kinship and how my son would be, like his brother's children's little Jaji, and how his brother is his Jaji, and how that works. And they're really great about asking questions about something that they're learning for the first time. And I'm really fortunate that they're that way with my kids and with my culture. It's really cool. I really enjoy teaching them what I know and passing that along.
She said that's good. That's their identity.
Yeah.
I got a
I know,
question.
I just want to give you an example. I take care of the Clan Mothers program for our department. And we've been, excuse me, been doing this since 2001. And some young, it's all female, young or old female that we meet with. And some that came were young, some not, maybe teenagers or older. But some of them come and they're not taught, like you're saying, of what your Ho Chunk heritage, what clan you are, and how their extended family, how they're related to them. And then especially the clan that they belong to and the duties, responsibilities that they have in that clan. And a lot of our young people that we've met in the past, they have no knowledge of what clan they belong to or what responsibilities or so we teach them to tell them, because clan mothers, they're all different clans, they represent different clans of our nation. So they teach the young, and they're, they were so happy. One was so happy. Now I know who I am. She just said out loud. And she was really proud of that. And it gave her along with it, the duties and responsibilities that she has as a member in that clan. Now I know what I have to do, what I'm supposed to do. It elevated her self-esteem about herself. So it's good that you're doing that with your children. I really encourage that. It's for their future and their children's future. Someday they're going to have children. So I just want to commend you on that and encourage you. Very
Thank
good.
you. So it's really, to me, it's just, that's just what I know. You know what I mean? It's not, I'm not doing it for this or that, I'm doing it because that's what I know. That's who we are.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions? We are getting to that 2:00 time. Any other questions, comments from anyone listening?
Well, I have everybody here. I just want to thank you all for being here. And Myrtle, thank you for extending your knowledge and the things that you know to the lot of us. Thank you, Jamie and Ronell, for asking me to be a part of this. It's really cool. I'm not the greatest public speaker, but I tried. And it was cool. It's a very beautiful thing to be a part of. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. As a reminder to everyone listening, we do have another educational session next Wednesday, same time, 1:00, and it will be on Indigenous breastfeeding, milk sharing, and our culture based on that. So I definitely invite everyone to join us again next week and hopefully see more people on every week. I hope everybody has a good afternoon and safe travels for those that have traveled. Myrtle and Kim, thank you for coming on over, and we'll see you next week.